Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna do a get ready with me, a makeup get ready with me, and we're just gonna talk about like habits and like how I feel like American society is so over consumer culture and why I think that's so freaking bad. I had this realization like recently just because I feel like I've been realizing how bad it is to just constantly like be on your phone, and like how our whole entire like society is just made for us to be like mindless consumers. And honestly, I am not for that. And the reason why is because, first of all, regarding the phone and like social media and all that stuff, it's just like I recently realized that the most important thing that you have in life is like time. It's literally freaking time. Like there's times where I've like spent money on something and I kind of regretted it like a little bit, but it doesn't hit the same, or you don't regret it as much as like your time. Like time is your only like source that is your only like resource that's limited. And it's like we just kind of don't act like that, like societies in general. Like we are just consuming so much social media. Like the average person probably has like an hour or 2 hours of like screen time a day, and like I just feel like that's not living. Like that is just existing, and you're like plugged into like a box for like 5 hours a day. Like what? Like how is that normal? How is that healthy for you? How is that good for you? Like obviously it's not. Honestly, I'm totally guilty of that because I like phones and stuff are just made to be like as addicting as they humanly can be. But I don't know, I feel like there's a point in time where you have to kind of take your own life by the hands and realize, okay, I'm using the e.l.f. bronzer. Low-key, it's so freaking good, and it's like $8. Like there's a certain point where you have to just take life by your own hands and realize, hey, like do I want to be like the average person? Like 99% of people like don't have a life. They're just like living through their phones and like just consuming so much. Or do you want to be like the 1% of people and actually live and actually create? Like there's this quote that most people are just consuming, and like the 1% of people are creating for the 99% to consume. And that just doesn't mean in like cell phone usage. I just think that means in general. Like I feel like something that I realize like really makes me happy and fulfills me in life, and I think most people will relate, is like creating. Because like we're on this earth, why? Like we're on this earth like to create. Like we're all creative beings, we all have creative energy inside of us. And like me being like Middle Eastern, I realize that a lot of times I feel like in Middle Eastern culture people can be kind of angry, and I think it's because like people in Middle Eastern culture kind of just grow up in like more of an oppressive environment. Like actually in the Middle East, like you're restricted on things that you can wear, the government restricts you on things you can say, like there's a lot of rules and like regulations like for men and women. Like, and honestly, like when you're so oppressed and you can't express yourself, like you are worried about like, oh, I can't say this because this is rude, or like stuff about the government, you don't really have as much freedom of speech, and there's so many restrictions. Like that energy doesn't leave. Like if you have something to say and you can't say it, like that energy doesn't leave. Like it stays inside you and it tries to find a way to come out. And I feel like for a lot of people in the Middle East, it ends up coming out like through anger or like rage driving, all of these things, like because you have to express yourself. I'm using the Say blush, that's my favorite. But yeah, you have to express yourself. That is literally like a human right. That's like part of being human, is like self-expression. And like words have a lot of like meaning. Like words have a lot of deeper meaning, and the opposite of depression is expression. Like people, like when they're so like oppressed and like they're just so not used to creating, they can't express themselves, they become depressed. Like this is why I feel like so many people as well, like in America, are just so depressed, is because you have to properly express yourself. Like we have emotions, we have so much going on like in our being that like we need to express, and you can't all the time express things with your words. Like sometimes you need to like make a YouTube video, sometimes you need to paint, sometimes you need to cook, and it fulfills you because you're like making something and you're expressing yourself. And something that I feel like a lot of artists do really well is like there's this thing that like energy can't be changed, it can only be transmuted. And a lot of times artists, like when they go through a breakup, or I don't want to say they like going through breakups, but they like the energy that it comes with. Like sometimes the artists make their best work when they're like depressed or they're in heartbreak, because they have so much energy muse from, to like transmute. Like when an artist goes through a breakup and they write a breakup song, like you just transmuted that energy. Like that's so powerful, it's so amazing, and they get so much good work out of that because it's such a powerful emotion. Just same thing for humans. You don't even necessarily have to go through anything bad, but you have to express yourself. Like we have so much energy, and if you're not using it, it's just staying stuck inside you, and we're just not meant to be consuming so much. So I've realized that, like honestly, the past like year, like whoa, we need to really all start like creating way more. And something I realized is it's like easy to create when you're in the habit of creating, but it's hard when you are just so used to consuming all the time, or you use your phone as like a coping mechanism. Like I know I used to do that. Like if I was upset or if I was sad, I would just go on my phone. I'm like, okay, like I don't know how to deal with my emotions, or this is kind of scary, or this is so anxiety inducing, let me just try to go on my phone and forget about it, instead of having healthy ways to like transmute those emotions or use those emotions. But even if it's not like a way that you use to like escape yourself, it's definitely a habit, and obviously humans are habitual beings. So something that I've been trying to like do recently is just get in the habit of creating, like making things, and literally it's life freaking changing. Oh, I'm also using this e.l.f. blush to set my actual blush, and this is like so freaking good, and it's only $5, and it lasts like so freaking long. It's like the primer infused blush, and I love it. It's so nice. But yeah, something I've just been trying to do more is just like create, like cook more, just do fun things. And I notice like if you're struggling to like not be on your phone, as soon as it's like a withdrawal. Like you know how like when you eat, like whenever you eat like junk food, it's so easy to be in the habit and like crave junk food. It's the same thing with your phone. Like when you are just so used to being on your phone, that's all you kind of know, your body is just craving it more, or your brain, I guess. And then once you stop being on it, it's like relieving to not be on it because it doesn't actually feel that good, and you just get used to not being on it. So it's just like a few days of like withdrawal periods, and then it becomes much easier. So there's hope for you if you're, you know, addicted to your phone, addicted to consuming. My favorite highlighter, it's a Vanessa Myricks highlighter. It's so good. I think it's the best highlighter I've ever used, honestly. And yeah, those are basically my tips for being off your phone and just living a more empowered life. Because especially with like short form content and like social media, like you are not having like, you are like seeing content against your will, like because the algorithm is placing it in front of you. You're not getting to go on YouTube like right now and like choose, oh, like I want to learn about like rockets today, or I want to learn about makeup today. Like you are being fed information and fed content, and you don't actually know if that content is good for you. And like honestly, a lot of the times it's not that good for you. It's just like a distraction. It's like trash. So I don't know, I'm in the era of like taking back my own power and like making my life way better and living a more empowered life. And for me, that means like trying to cut out like consuming social media, especially short form social media, and just create more. Like it's so much more fun, way more fun. I want to do my eyebrows, but I kind of don't have my eyebrow pencil, so I'm gonna use this brown eyeliner pencil to just try to fill it in a little bit. It looks fine. Okay, it looks way better. And I'm not saying that like all social media is 100% bad, because if you use it intentionally and you use it for a tool, if you want to learn something, it's amazing. Like the internet is amazing. You just have to be really careful about it and be super intentional. Now when I go on social media, I have a purpose. Like I usually just don't go on there to scroll. Like I'm literally on there because I'm like, hey, instead of Googling things, I TikTok things. So I'm like, oh, I want to find a cool restaurant. I want to learn something about, I want to like find something. So I use the search bar more, like when I'm using TikTok or like going on short form content, just because I feel like I'm more in control of like what I'm consuming and how long I'm going to be consuming it for. And it just makes me feel way better about it. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I did my makeup. It's so natural, but I like natural makeup. And yeah, so that's my little spiel. And yeah,